This episode is brought to you by the fabulous members of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com.
You got this! You're faster than they are! What are you? Swim!
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes he tells sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. Look up! You run podcasts!
That seems
Been a while since
appropriate.
I've watched that.
I watched the latest one where they're all old and Johnny Knoxville gets hurt every 2 seconds the other day. So good.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. I thought it was pretty shit. They bring in like new characters and stuff like that. I get they're old and they can't do the same shit they used to do, but I never thought the movies were ever as good as the TV show was on MTV.
No, they weren't. I did like it though, because I liked the fact that Johnny Knoxville's like, we've got this really dangerous stunt, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make this young kid do it instead, and I'm just going to watch and laugh.
I suppose it's all right.
I think it's better than all right. It made millions and millions of dollars.
Nah, nothing. Pocket money.
Pocket money. You earn too much. Hello and welcome to the You Run Podcast Horror Movie Review. Bad language, excessive drinking, and the occasional funny joke. My name is Scott.
My name is Mark.
And this is the most interactive podcast you will find in all of podcast land. That's probably a lie, but hey, I'm sticking with it. Every Monday we review a horror movie chosen by you on our Instagram polls. We are at You Run Podcast on Instagram if you want to vote for the movies that we cover. If you are new to the show, what you can expect from this show or this episode and every episode.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
It's pretty accurate.
At least we're consistent, yeah.
We are. We kick things off with a short summary. We then dive into a deeper review where we give you our thoughts and feelings on bits we liked, bits we didn't like. Later on in the show, we've got some interactive features. We play a game. We give you our roundups and our all-important scores, and then we let you get on with your day. If you want to get involved with any of that, at You Run Podcast everywhere. It's really that simple. That's enough gilding the lily. Let's get into our first episode of Creature Feature Month. I'm excited. I love creature features.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big fan. Deep Blue Sea better be on here somewhere.
No, we done. To be honest, we haven't done Deep Blue Sea on its own, so it can technically be polled in the future.
This is true. And there is 2 sequels. Second one, not so much, but the third one's great.
The third one is good. I'll give you that. Second one is like, how have you fucked this up? Like, it's so easy to get this right. There is a storm coming, and it's a big one. But Florida man is not going anywhere. Instead, he's getting bitten by an alligator in the basement of his ex-wife's house after drinking whiskey in a condo he shares with a dog. To make matters worse, Florida woman, in the form of his daughter, is traveling into the eye of the storm to save her father with nothing but a wind-up torch and some hopes and dreams. Today, we look at what could easily be a very believable headline in the Sunshine State. Florida father and daughter take on 2 large alligators in flooded crawl space during hurricane. I fucking love this.
You sounded
film.
like a news reporter then.
Yeah, well, that's all the news they get in Florida, and that will come up in our game. I love this film. It's 2019's Crawl.
Dumb Florida moron.
If you are from Florida, I know a lot of our listeners are. There's one in particular that I'm not going to highlight, but hello, we know you're listening. I apologize in advance. Lady Crisis is a proud Floridian. And yeah, I'm going to be bashing on Florida hard for the next hour and however long this episode is. This kicks off with a young girl in her swimming team. she's good, but she's not the best. And I really like the fact that her father is the most pushy parent ever. And then he's like,
Yeah.
he's pushy, but he's really encouraging as well. So she loses, and after she loses the race by like a second, he's like, "Don't worry, we'll get him next time. More training, more effort." And I'm like, "Oh, you're the worst." Like,
Yeah, I don't like that style of parenting. I appreciate sort of encouragement, but coaching as a parent is like they just grow up to resent you, which is exactly what she does in this movie.
she does. And when I say she's a young girl, she's not. She's at college. I think she's collegiate team at this point.
Yeah.
She goes to the locker room, and this is where we get the first interaction with her sister. Her sister, I love my sister dearly, but her sister is my sister. So fucking annoying, and just says
I was
things
about to say I didn't want to insult your sister, but she's fucking annoying in this movie.
like she says stuff not to be horrible, but just because she has no filter. So she says stuff, and it's like, oh, why did you say that? She's like, have you spoken to Dad? No, I've not spoken to Dad. Why? Well, there's a big hurricane. Don't you think you should speak to him? It's like that's the kind of like,
patronizing level.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until this watch as well I realised it's Galadriel from Rings of Power, and I was like, God, you are a terrible actress. And then I realised who it was. I was like, wow, you've come a long way.
You've come leaps and bounds.
You have really encouraged.
Acting in this is kind of what I'd expect a B movie creature feature to have. There's no one in this that makes me go, wow, you're amazing. But there's no one that makes me go, you are so bad, I can't watch you.
No. I mean the lead is quite impressive considering she came from British TV show Skins to this.
Yeah,
she's really excelled herself. I thought she was good. I thought she does a brilliant American accent. I mean, I'm not American, so I can't pull it apart too much. But for someone from South London, I think she pulls off a good enough American accent for my ears, anyway.
Yeah, she's believable, and I kind of like her character. Like, I really root for her in this movie. Like, there's so many times I'm like, oh, you're in so much trouble. Do this, and then she does the complete opposite. I'm like, you're an idiot, and everyone in this film is thick.
Yeah, she makes some poor choices along the way, but she also makes some like really intelligent survival choices to sort of outbalance the idiocy that she creates throughout. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of moments where I'm like, oh, that was fucking stupid, and then she'll do something really, really clever. And I'm like, oh, actually, yeah, okay, maybe you do know what you're doing.
Yeah, you've got half an idea. Just to get away.
I mean, for someone who's battling with alligators, I don't suppose any of us are really that experienced unless we're Steve Irwin.
We'll get to it a bit later, but I'm 100% positive I would be out of that basement in minutes based on how the walls are made up downstairs. The single skim bricks stacked diagonally where they could put their hands and arms through. You could easily kick 3 or 4 of those bricks out and climb out of that crawl space. It wound me up, all moving.
I don't know, man. I mean, the fact that he's got his tool belt down there shows that there is probably some sort of movement. You could chisel away at them. But I mean, to kick a brick out of a wall, come on.
Yeah. I think you'd be, and I'm not being funny. This bloke has got the most severe injuries in the world that are only relevant when it suits the plot. And the same when she gets injured, like he's got this horrifically broken leg, and then 2 minutes later he's like running up the stairs. It's like, what are you doing?
When his leg breaks, man, that is one of the worst scenes in this film when he snaps it back in and like braces it with a ratchet. I'm like, oh no, that's disgusting.
It's really, really, really rough. So she agrees to drive down and check on her dad. She drives to the dad's condo, or she tries to, and when she gets down there she meets the roadblock, and like the police. It's a small town in Florida, and like the policeman used to date her sister, and there's this really weird interaction, and then he won't let her in, and she takes a back road and ends up at the dad's I like the dog. The dog Sugar is the nice, most wonderful and most intelligent person in this movie. Later, when she goes to the basement, that dog stands at the top of the stairs and goes, no,
no,
absolutely not. I'm not going down there.
I was expecting the dog to die here, and I'm so fucking grateful that it didn't.
Yeah, the dog survived, and through its own intelligence, like, I'm not going down there. I'll wait till you come back up and put me back in the car, and then we can leave.
Yeah.
Brilliant. The dad's not at the condo, so she takes the dog and she drives to their childhood home, which is meant to have been sold in the divorce. So the dad and mum have had problems, and the mum's got a new boyfriend. She's on a cruise. When she gets there, there's no one there. How much did you shit your pants when she walks through the kitchen and we get the tree through the window?
Holy shit, mate. I literally jumped out my fucking skin. And we spoke about jump scares last week. This is how you do them, because I didn't see it coming. It was no build up. It just happened. And I honestly fell to the floor. I was like, holy shit. My heart was like, and bear in mind, I've seen this movie already before I rewatched it for the show, and it still got me again the second time.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. So I'm watching it going, okay, right, she's going to go through here. She's going to get the dog, then she's going to the basement. Because I kind of know the plot. When the tree come through, I was like, fuck. My heart was racing and everything. Brilliant, well-earned jump scare, because it comes completely out of left field. It's so good.
Yeah.
She kind of makes her way to the basement, and I don't understand. We don't have crawl spaces here in this country like they do in America, but I don't understand. So my understanding of a crawl space is it's kind of one level. It's about 3.5 foot deep, and you literally crawl through it. But this crawl space has like bits where they can stand up, and bits where they need to crawl, and bits where they need to pretty much commando drag themselves across the floor. And I can't, like, they don't do a very good job of setting up what this space looks like, because the way it's set out in the film, this space is fucking ginormous. It's got 2 massive alligators down there and them, and they can move from area to area without the gators getting to them. Like, I can't wrap my head around what the layout is, and that irritated me.
Well, a lot of houses in America, based on the brief knowledge that I have, are stilted due to intense flooding in certain areas. I'm sure Heather, who is a victim of severe flooding, has more knowledge on this than I do, but I do know that quite a lot of houses in certain parts of America are stilted, so they do have vast crawl spaces and stuff underneath them, for drainage purposes, in case anything such as that would happen. Hence the storm drain that we see later on in the movie, that's due to drag water away and stuff like that. So that's why that is as it is. But again, the certain height differences and variation, I think, is more a case of not the size of the actual crawl space itself, but the services of the house underneath. So if you have like big air conducting systems running through, and then you have plumbing pipes coming under, and that's hence why they're ducking under certain bits and not. Do you know what I mean? I think there is all a certain level all the way through, but due to the services of the property and things like that, that's why they're finding the variations in certain areas.
But what height is it all the way through? Because there's bits where, like, she stood up, and then there's bits where she's not, and it's just a ceiling above her, and I can't wrap my head around it. Someone in the United States who has a crawl space, send me some photographs so I can understand.
Yeah, I think when she first walks down, it's full height when she gets to like the bottom of the inbuilt stairs. And then as she starts deviating off into certain areas of the house, because I don't know if you see it when she's upstairs. I don't know if like they step down into the kitchen and stuff, hence the floor dropping and things like that upstairs. Yeah, so I think that's what I think we're spending way too much time talking about this.
Okay, sorry. It was one of those. You know, one of those.
I know, but I'm getting really invested in it now, and now my mind's racing, and I'm thinking, why?
Okay, we'll move on. She finds her dad, and her dad is in a bad way. Like, he's in a real bad way. Like, his leg's broken. She's really clever how she gets him up, where she goes and gets the tarpaulin and like rolls it over his back and then rolls him back onto it. I'm like, you're really clever. And I also like the fact that she took her shoes off, took her flip-flops off when she got.
I think that was only because she studied alligator shit, was it not?
Yeah, it was. But how she gets him up, I thought was really clever. And then when she's dragging him out, we get another great jump scare where the alligator kind of bursts out from behind some boxes. And man, this one.
No, it burst through the stairs, didn't it? It was the stairs that she come down. Yeah, it just obliterates the stairs to get out.
This gator is like Lake Placid gator size. It's fucking
Yeah, this was
huge.
like the scene from Resident Evil 2 when it burst through those stairs. When you
Yeah,
fight that big gator in the sewers, I'm like, holy shit. I mean, the
and
graphics and the CGI in this movie in certain areas do amplify that experience, I think.
yeah, I think on the whole though, the alligators in particular, they're all CGI and they look great.
Yeah, oh no, no. As a whole, I think considering the budget of this movie, I think they look fantastic. I'm really not going to criticize it. Someone who watches a lot of creature feature movies, this is top tier level CGI, but there is
Yeah,
still moments where you're like, ooh. And I think you notice as well, one of the things that annoyed me the most was the size change of the actual gator itself. Not
yeah,
massively, but like the scene where it bursts through the stairs, it's like a fucking giant gator. And then a scene later when it's like chasing them through it like sort of like maybe a third of it
slim
shrinks
down.
kind of thing. Yeah, and I was like, you at least should be consistent.
There's a bit where it goes down one of the like corridor bits and it kind of gets stuck and then it does a U-turn. There is no way that alligator would have turned around in that space. Like as it turns, you almost see like the CGI fold into itself to allow it to spin around. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'll let it go because it all
I,
looks
d- I-
good beyond that.
yeah, it gets a free pass from me, man. I'm certainly not going to spend this episode criticizing any of the CGI. It was just there is moments where you are like, maybe an extra day of polishing would have helped that bit.
Yeah, I think so as well. The broken leg. So dad comes to and repairs his own broken leg. This is so rough. It's his
Mm.
shin bone as well, which makes it worse.
Yeah, and you don't know what he's doing at first because you haven't seen the injury on his leg. You've only seen the attack mark on his shoulder. But
Yeah,
then when it sort of sees it, and you see him dragging for his tool belt, you're like, what's he doing? Is he getting a weapon? And then you see him pull out a ratchet, and you're like, that's not going to do much damage. And then he puts it on his leg and ties the tool belt around it. He straightens the bone up, and he just goes pulls it in. It don't go in the first time as well, and he has to readjust and then give it another crank. And you're like, oh, balls of steel, man. I think I'd faint. I think that would make me pass out.
yeah. I think if this was me, like he's been down there for a while before his daughter gets there, I probably would have sacrificed myself to the Gators by now. I probably would have resigned myself to the fact that I can't kick out the bricks because my leg is broken. I can't get out because they're quicker than me. I'm just going to like lay my head out of this pipe and just let them end it because no one's going to find me and I'm going to drown. And that's far worse than being eaten by an alligator.
Yeah, yeah. It's a rough rock and a hard place. I'll be honest.
It's a really rough place. I like that she goes for her phone. So she realizes, oh shit, I'm going to get my phone. Like, I can get my phone, I can make a call. She gets bitten by the alligator, it gets her leg. There is
Yes.
no way she's getting in real life. If this gator bit her leg, it would have rolled and taken her leg clean off. But she gets bitten. This is what I was saying about them having like injuries that suit the plot at the time of the
Cir-
plot. So she gets bitten here, and like
Circumstantial injuries. Yeah.
yeah, she drags herself away. She gets away and she drags herself away and she's in loads of pain. And then in 2 minutes' time, she's like fucking climbing and trying to get through ceilings. I'm like, you just nearly had your leg torn off like a second ago, but now you're okay.
Yeah, and I think from the off with this movie, especially the first time I watched it, I kind of resided to the fact that that's kind of what it was.
Yeah,
Because if I had have spent the experience picking apart stuff like that and being like, oh, well, that's not realistic. I mean, we're talking about. I mean, I don't know what the sort of situation is with alligators, but I have to have a sneaking suspicion that this is not how they would actually behave. I
no,
don't feel like in this situation they would do this.
this is how alligators would behave if they spent like a weekend on cocaine. Like this
Yeah,
is not a normal alligator. Like you
that's
see
what
them
I
when they
mean.
like you see them when they do the golf and like they're on the course, they just like tap their tail and they'll dive into the water and swim away. Like they're not actively
No,
hunting like velociraptors, which they do in this.
no. So I'd kind of already resided to the fact that this was the experience we were going to have, and I was okay because I love those kind of movies. You know, I'm on board for them. So I was all right. I was accepting of it.
Yeah, and I was as well. And I only highlighted it because it's something that I spotted. It didn't bother me
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
detract from my experience. this bit in the basement, this first bit in the basement, there's lots of back and forth and like trying to get stuff and trying to get back, and then the alligator attacks them. Then there's two alligators. Then she stabs one in the eye, and all of this is great, but it's all very samey, and it
Oh, but
remains
that
this
fight
kind of
scene though, where there's like the three of them, where she finds out there is more than one, and like one comes from the front, then two come from the side, and it's just her taking on like the three gators, and then she gets like that like big giant rat trap thing and sticks it over one of their heads and manages to get away into the crowd. That was really cool scene.
yeah, like all of the scenes in this bit are cool, but it's very confined to this one location. And I was getting to the point where I'm like, I don't know how you get out of this now. Like there
No,
needs to be something that changes up in the plot that allows you to get out of this scenario. And
yeah, well,
we
that's
get
when the
that.
water level starts rising, isn't it?
Yeah, and the water level rising, like that adds a whole new like element of, oh, this is really, really, really not good now. Because not
Yeah,
only are you trapped, but now
you have
you're
a time
trapped and
limit.
you're yeah, you're trapped with a time limit. You are going to drown. And this is where we get the looters over at the gas
They'll take
station.
all your stuff, though. I feel really bad about it, but
Um,
I didn't see the relevance in these guys. I mean, obviously, it pinpoints the fact that there is three gators in the basement, and then there is an army of them outside.
yeah,
You know, like it's like they've all just congregated. It's like this is Gator fire escape meeting point in this movie. All of them seem to just congregate in this certain street, as opposed to being spread out across the whole of Florida.
and honestly, the way these gators take these people out, and they do it in not the most brutal way. Like they all get eaten, but it's not like, oh fuck, that was really like, oh. But we get the best gator kill in all of Gator movies ever in this. So you get a rescue boat with a couple of cops show up. The cop that gets eaten outside when he goes
Yeah,
to look at the swing, and you get five alligators all grab a limb, each one grabs his head, and they just dismember him. I was like, wow.
it's like for what cartoon was it where they used to do that? It was like every episode someone would fall off a cliff and then all the gators would just come and swarm. Do you remember that was like a thing for like all Disney movies back in like the 90s? Where like at the
Yeah,
end it was like, how do we kill this villain? Oh, he falls off a cliff and then all of a sudden just gators get it.
yeah, and like literally they tear him limb from limb, and as soon as they've done it, they all just like disappear into the dark water, and there's just this torso floating. And that kill that's up there with some of the best kills in any creature feature. I fucking loved that. I was like, I literally sat there and went, whoa, what? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
my
cool.
favorite in this movie is not actually a kill itself, but I'll save it till we get to it. It's a gator attack, if you will.
I'm curious now. Okay, I'm sure we'll get to it soon, because I'll be honest, there's not a lot left in this film. Um,
No,
the other cop, the one who was dating her brother,
yes,
not her brother, her sister, um, him getting killed in the basement is also cool. Where he's like, "Hello, is there anyone there?" She's like, "No, don't come." And by the time she said down here, like the gators like ripped him in half and dragged him in.
I
Like,
I don't understand her decision here, right? Because she's been so careful throughout this entire movie, only putting herself in vulnerable situations when she really, really has to. She can see he's being mauled to the point where it's not just like grabbing an arm or a leg. It's got
yeah,
him over the shoulder and he's fully just chomping down, you know, chow time for the gators. And she goes to try and drag him away from the gator. I'm like, what are you doing? There's two others still in here somewhere. And you're like walking into the feeding zone. Like, this just didn't make any sense to me as her character. I was like, that was a really poor decision.
no, and like there's a bit here where the dad's like, "Oh, there's a hatch that gets us into the house. It's over there by the up pipes into the house." So she manages to get to that, and she tries to lift it, and above it there is a chest of drawers.
Yeah.
I wasn't convinced that she couldn't have like bounced
Oh,
that a little bit
I
more
was going to
to
say,
get
yeah,
her.
you just wobble that and that. It's literally held on to the wall by like 10 mil. I was like, just push that 2 or 3 times and that's going to bounce out the way.
Yeah, it'll bounce out of the way, and then you'll be able to get it up enough that you can get your arm in. And once you've got your arm in, you can basically force your body in, and then once your body's in, just lift up, and you're out.
I mean, even then, though, she could have put her arm through the gap she had and probably grabbed the table leg and just yanked it out of the way anyway. It was a frustrating scene watching her try to do that, and it was trying to highlight suspense. And I was like, no, this is just really poor logic. I'm not on board for this sort of trapped idea that you're trying to go for. One thing I want to highlight massively, though, is that I think they do an exceptional job of highlighting the alligators themselves in terms of what they can and can't do in and out of water.
Yeah,
it's something that Dad explains to, I can't remember the girl's name. He
Where's your
explains to her earlier
daddy
on how
and what does he do?
he explains it to her earlier on about how out of water they're blind and they can't see you and things like that. Oh no, they can't hear you. They can't hear you. So like they're shouting at each other, but it's not based on noise. But then they also do a thing where he's tapping on pipes as well. Oh no, he does that later on when they're in the water. So I don't know if it's like a echolocation thing like dolphins. I'm not sure how it works.
Yeah, so he gives them kind of like T-Rex powers. Like if you stay really still and really quiet, they won't get you. Which I fact checked, and gators have wonderful eyesight, pretty good hearing above and below water, and they are pretty much the perfect designed killing machine if they want to. So like,
well, they're dinosaurs, aren't they? So they've had many years to evolve in terms of most animals on the planet. But yeah, I mean, it applies well to the film, and I think they imply that logic quite well in certain scenes, like the scene where she's swimming through, following the pipes to actually get to the hatch. Like that's really cool, and then obviously the logic that's introduced applies really well to that scene in particular. And again, it sort of justifies the stuff that they can shout across to each other, and the gators not pick up on the sound of them. I did question whether it was true or not, obviously, and now you've verified for me that it isn't. That kind of annoys me a little bit because I feel like if you're going to introduce something like that about a grounded animal in a creature feature film, it should have legs, you know. Like most normal people who watch a lot of David Attenborough would understand that no, that's not true. Alligators can see out of water and can hear perfectly fine. I didn't know that, so I bought into it.
So what made me go and look was, you know, the bit later in the movie, we played the clip at the beginning where he's like, swim, swim.
I'll talk about that when we get to it, yeah.
Yeah, so I went, because he's like, you're faster than they are. And as soon as he said it, I like paused it, went straight on my phone. How fast can a human swim? And like, it gave me a speed, like, how fast can an alligator swim? I'm like, you are not faster than them. They are catching you within like 5 strokes and you're dead. And then I was like, okay, I'm happy I'm right. I'll unpause it now.
Yeah, and while we're on it, saved me going back to it later on. That scene, man, the dad in this movie is a terrible father. He puts her in such dangerous situations and encourages her to do so. And later on in the movie, not only has she had her leg chomped, so she's not going to be a proper athlete swimmer anymore for the rest of her life anyway, she's still currently injured. He knows she's not the best swimmer in terms of her peers. And he's like, yeah, you can beat these gators. If it means me walking away from here scot-free, you go for it, kid. You go for it. And he's like, there's like 20 gators sprinting after. He's like, yeah, you can do it, kid. Go. I'm like, no, don't let her do this.
No, definitely don't let her do it. And especially not with these gators. So like these gators.
Gator don't play no shit. You feel me? Gator never been about that. Never been about playing no shit.
Oh, that movie's so good.
The alligators in this are so aggressive and so determined to get them. And like after she's done this hatch thing and she can't get out, she's like, the dad's like, oh, well, you could go out the storm drain and like swim round the front of the house and come in the front of the house and then open the hatch and then I can get through the hatch. I was like, okay. And she finds all the alligator eggs in this bit where it's like she's going to go out and a gator comes in. She stays really still. Like the eggs led to nothing. I wanted that to lead to something and it didn't. It's like, oh, they were nested in the house all this time.
I think, like that was a really poor setup because it was basically saying that this is a nest. Obviously, there was explaining earlier on they came in through the storm drain. The storm drain led to this particular area, which was like the cave from Descent. Again, when you're talking about scope and size of this underfloor crawl space, this is the one particular scene you want to be questioning. You could build a bat cave down here. It was that big. So they get into the nest, and yet I don't get why they did, because it doesn't lead to anything. I thought, oh, this is going to be cool. And then you see the one hatch, and you see the little tiny gator swimming about. I'm like, oh shit, she's going to fall in. It's going to be like a piranha attack of mini gators. That's going to be really cool. That didn't happen. But you do get the cool scene where she gets the gun from the police officer, and as she gets it, the big giant gator bites her arm, and her arm's like fully in, and she's just like, and I was like, that is cool as shit.
that scene's like, yeah, that's exactly what you would do if you've got a gun in your hand and an alligator bites your arm. You're going to keep pulling that trigger till it doesn't pull anymore. I did.
In terms of guns in horror movies, that was almost as cool as a Michael Myers kill in Halloween Kills, where he kicks the door and it shoots her in the head.
Yeah, exactly that. And like this bit here is where she's got outside. She's managed to get her dad up, and the dad, they're trying to go and get the boat from the looters, and this is where he does his swim. And the reason they're trying to get the boat is because they know that the dam is going to overflow, and it's going to be like this big wave coming through. And I'm like, okay, right, this all makes sense for me. The laziness of the writing here boggled my mind.
I laughed. I laughed
out loud. I was like, oh, fucking brilliant. They get the boat. She like gets the boat back over to her dad as the wave hits, and the wave's going down their street, not towards their house, down the street. But somehow the wave hits them, and instead of going with the wave, it sends them left back through the front door of the house they've just escaped.
I know, and I was like, fucking hell, what are the chances? I'm guessing you guys didn't want to invest in redecorating a set design for a property down the road, because this was clearly the cheapest option for you, but I am not buying this. This is a hard pill to swallow in this movie.
There is no way they're going back in there. And the only thing that redeemed it was as they got back in there, the dad's like, quick, we need to go upstairs. And as he points upstairs, an alligator bites his arm clean off. I was yes.
This is it. This was the moment as well. This was it. I was like, yep, Dad's going to bite the dust. I knew it was going to happen at some point in this movie. There was going to be a redemption arc for his story for being a shit dad and a pushy parent. This is it. He goes out in a blaze of glory, and he has this big speech on his way out saying, I love you. Be your best self. Oh, and then Gator attack. Rah, 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 rah. It didn't happen, man. It didn't happen. And I don't know if I'm disappointed by it or not, because I quite liked the dad for certain elements. I didn't want him to die, but I thought like if there was ever an opportunity in the movie for him to, this was it.
This was definitely it. But like, he's Florida Man. Like, Florida Man doesn't die. That I had that in my head all the way through. Florida Man doesn't die.
Who's Florida Man?
Woman doesn't. If you notice, like all they refer to, we'll get to it. We have a whole segment on Florida Man, like news articles. Right. It's like,
oh yeah, I know like the Florida. Yeah. Oh right, okay, all right, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, they do some mad shit in Florida.
They do. This guy is Florida Man. He's like, he was in his basement. He got bitten by alligators. He got himself out. He got his arm bitten off, and like none of it fazed him. Like, bear in mind when he got his arm bitten off, he's wading sort of just above his waist in water with a broken leg that he's walking on, and he's absolutely fine. He gets his arm bitten off and still goes up the stairs absolutely fine. What the fuck? I also want to talk about the shower screen that was forged in the pits of Mordor.
Was this before or after her attack in the room?
It's all sort of happens in this time. So when she's washed down the corridor, she ends up in the bathroom with the alligator, and she locks it behind the titanium based. I don't know. How did that shower screen hold that alligator?
Not even that, but how the fuck did that alligator even fit in there? All right, like, we've seen the scope of this alligator downstairs in the basement. I have a shower. I'm sure you have a shower in your house. I know you get the standard cubicle sizes, but the biggest one's roughly about 1,800 wide. So if you laid down end to end, toes to toes, you probably couldn't lay down in your shower in normal people's houses, especially in houses based on this size in that area.
Yeah.
But it held this alligator, and it held it behind a shower screen. I've installed shower screens. I've installed them in many houses. I've shattered many shower screens installing them in people's houses because they are fucking flimsy things, and the slightest tap on the wrong corner will make those things explode. But this manages to cage a giant alligator who is like thrashing to the point where he's nearly bursting through the walls at either side of it. But the screen door manages to hold it.
Screen
This
doors,
was more harder to swallow than the actual fucking boat ending back up in their own house.
and the screen door's already under massive pressure from all the water that's contained within the shower as well. And it just,
I was like, fucking
yeah.
hell. I was like, they need to start installing these shower screen doors at aquariums, man. This is insane.
Yeah, forget all this like super thick. They needed this in Deep Blue Sea.
They did. This is it. This is it. That shark would not have thrown that poor man on the stretcher against the window if it had one of these shower screen doors on it.
Exactly. Well, we need to get hold of the research facility for Deep Blue Sea 4. You need the shower screen from Crawl. The dog didn't get eaten, and I'm shocked by that. But the dog does massively mug them off when they're upstairs. So the dog is aware of the alligator that comes through the window in a minute. You see the dog look at the window. You then see the dog look at the man for the man to pick him up and take him onto the roof. And at no point does the dog warn anybody at all, not with a bark, not with a whimper, not anything. He's like, a fucking big alligator out there. Could you pick me up, please, and carry me to the roof? And I spotted it, and it made me laugh a lot.
Is this where she gets bitten and dragged back down?
Yeah.
This is my favorite attack in the movie. So this in particular, because not that it's that great on that monumental in terms of some of the cool like decapitations and shit that we've seen so far, but it's a fucking barrel roll, man. It's a grab and roll. And I was like, oh, I've been waiting this entire movie to see a cool barrel roll. Every crocodile movie or alligator movie I see, none of them execute it as well as this does. It looked flawless, man. Do you know where they just grabbed her and rotated her? Because that's what they do, isn't it? It grabs them, rotates them to disorientate them underwater. It was doing it to her. Thankfully, the flare was on the floor so she could get her bearings and escape and jab it in the eye with a flare. But this looked incredible. And I think this scene in particular is where most of the budget went on the CGI gators because it just looked so fucking cool, man.
Yeah, and it's really intense as well. So not only have you got the fear that she's being attacked by an alligator and she's trying to get the flare to deal with the alligator, but she's also underwater. And they do a really good job of building the tension that you're kind of like almost holding your breath with her. It's like,
yeah, and then you start getting flashbacks, you know, like the light flashing before her eyes scenes and stuff like that. I'm like, oh shit, man, this might be it for her. Maybe it's just the dad and the dog who survive.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I wouldn't have been mad if they'd done that. If they'd done that,
no, I would have appreciated the balls on it.
Yeah, and like for a movie like this, they didn't kill any of the main cast. They just surrounded the cast with this fodder and just. I think there was a conversation each day of how should we kill this person with an alligator? We've got these 3 people here. We need to kill them. Throw me some ideas. That's how I think.
Well, that's it. I think a lot of the times with this movie, they came up with really cool kill ideas and then interjected characters just to execute those kills. I think the policemen who turn up serve no purpose. Like the walkie-talkie and the gun was completely irrelevant. I know that gun was good in the nest for that particular scene, but didn't need to be there. Didn't need to. It didn't project the plot any further or anything. I think the guy coming back from the road turning signal, he didn't really necessarily need to come back. It wouldn't have changed anything. I think these people are literally cannon fodder for cool kills because the main cast have a force field around them. Like, no, we can't kill them. They're the main characters. And I kind of wish they had done. I wanted them to kill the dad on the stairwell, and I really wouldn't have been mad if they'd have killed her here in this bedroom scene as well.
Do you know what would have been really good? Is they'd have killed both, and the only person who survived was the dog. Just break the trope. The dog's on the roof on its own, barking at the helicopter at the end, and the helicopter rescues the dog. Like that, I'd have been, okay, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, as much as us as audiences are watching this, especially us as horror fans, are like, yeah, that would have been a really bleak, cool ending to this movie. We already established early on in this episode, this is a popcorn horror movie. You're not going there. We're forgiving it for its sins because it is here for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
So I understand the decision to give them this invisible blanket when it comes to certain aspects of their damage that they can take and the force field they're under from major damage and kills. So I get it for that purposes because it is just a popcorn movie, which most creature features are. But it is one of those scenes where you're like, that would have been cool, and that would have probably elevated my appreciation to new heights for this film.
I think there needed to be a better way to dispose of like the final gator that's got her as well. So the gator that's got her, that she's trying to swim up to the roof, because the water's now at like the bottom level of the roof, and she's reaching for the roof, and the alligator gets swept away by debris in the water. And I really wanted it to be something. I wanted the alligator to get on the roof and like her and her dad like take the alligator out, as opposed to it just like conveniently be swept away by a car that's floating down the river that doesn't touch her. Like it's all a little too neat.
I disagree with that, because I think the fact that it is as basic as it is just shows that these are just creatures and not necessarily anything more than just trapped alligators in a house. You know?
Yeah.
I think had it have done that sort of crawling onto the roof for one final scare thing, I would have just been like, no, I'm kind of done with this movie now. You are taking it a little bit too far for me. So the fact that they didn't do that and they did keep it on a basic animal instinct level, I was all right with. I do get what you're saying, though. I know where you're coming from. And in most other movies, if this was a Jurassic Park movie, for instance, there would have been a velociraptor coming up from behind the chimney pot to take them out for one last scare. You know, and I know what you're saying, but I kind of appreciated that it didn't do that. One thing I want to question, though, in terms of the flooding.
Yeah.
This is like Noah's Ark level shit. Like, this is a big 2-story house with a crawl space with at least 6 foot. How much water in this area is there? Is this even a thing that you can flood this much?
I know that like the Everglades that are in Florida, I know that they flood, and they'll flood like into the streets and sort of, I don't know. I've seen
But this is like
Florida.
20 meters deep of water.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that on any news report in Florida, anywhere. I've seen like 3 or 4 foot of water and like people wading like waist deep to get stuff from their houses, but I've never seen it like this. Like, this is like tsunami levels of water.
Yeah, this is Noah's Ark level shit, man. Like, this is the end of the world level water.
Yeah, it really is. And like, they get to the roof and they do the flare thing and the helicopter saves them. I think they missed an opportunity here to give us a post-credit scene and do a post-credit scene.
And being on the side.
Exactly that. 6 months later, bring that, because that's the main plot of the movie, is like her swimming career and how she's going to get to the point where she is fast enough, and she's fast enough against the alligators. Like, where's that post-credit scene to show that she's taken that real life experience, gone back, and she knows she's faster now, so she does win, even if it's.
And this was that Mandela effect as well, because I could have sworn it was there. I could have sworn there was this, and then it got me thinking, why do I think that? Because they do it in The Shallows with the Blake Lively movie, where she goes back in the water with the scars on her legs and she goes surfing again. They do it in that movie. And I was positive they do the same thing here, and no, it weren't there. And I was like, I'm sure I've seen a version of this somewhere. Maybe it's just a Mandela effect in my brain thinking it should have been there. And you're right, it definitely should have been there.
It really should have. And maybe it is. Maybe it's in an alternative cut somewhere, but it definitely wasn't in the copy that I watched. And I was like, I even waited till the end of the credits.
Oh, no, I kind of tapped out. I was done.
Anything else you want to touch on before we do your recommended account?
No, but I'll hesitate so I can find a recommended account of the week, if that's all right.
We've got music for that.
Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie theater.
That's all you get.
Oh, mate, you did not let that go on for long enough.
I'll give you one more.
My entire house will get flooded.
There you go.
So this week's recommended account is Brighton Den Evan. Brighton Den Evan. Brighton Den Evan is a land artist, drone pilot, photographer, and video creator. If you follow me on my own Instagram, you may have seen I've been sharing this stuff quite regularly to my stories. This guy basically goes down to a beach, famous songs, especially like rock songs and things like that. You hear him playing out over the reel of his drone footage. And he basically just goes down to a beach with a rake and carves out the song lyrics as the song's playing over the reel. And it's really fucking cool. Even though I've made it sound extremely basic, it's incredibly cool stuff to watch. And I've spent hours watching his channel and just scrolling through some of the stuff that he's done. He's really, really clever. So I implore you all to go and check it out. It's Brighton Den Evan on Instagram. As always, let him know the Urine Podcast sent you there.
I've heard about these things. I wish I could have done a lot of these. I haven't had the money to ever do it.
Yeah, I don't know. That could be like bonus episode that we could film throughout the following winter.
Join LK the Horror Nerd and Yanni as they give you the Horror Nerd experience. Thrills, chills, jump scares and more coming your way on every single episode.
Hello everyone and welcome to another riveting edition of Under the Floorboards, where we laugh at the creatures that go bump in the night. I am your host John, joined as always by my beautiful co-host Eric. How are you this week?
Still slightly left of center.
Well, why not join John and Eric as they bring you continuous laughter as they look at the creatures that go bump in the night, chased by a creep, hunted by Nazis, or descending into the darkness of the inferno. They're going to bring you all of that and more. These fabulous shows and many more are all available at yourunpodcast.com, your home of entertainment. So make sure you go and check out Mark's recommended account. I've seen some of the stuff you've been sharing. Like, they are the hours it must take for him to do that.
Yeah.
Like
It's
hours.
incredible.
And hours. Yeah. That's not a quick process. It's not like he needs to write it, then he needs to like clear it, then he needs to write some, like, it just go on forever.
Oh, definitely. I can't write that neat on a piece of paper, let alone 70 feet long on a beach.
No, you and me have the same mentality. The only thing I can draw on a beach at any size is a penis. That's about all I've got. Also, make sure you go and check out all the members of the You Run Podcast Network. They are at yourunpodcast.com. When you get there, you'll also find links to all of our socials. One of those socials is Instagram, where you can get involved in the polls for this show, and most of the interactive features appear there as well. We're at You Run Podcast. We're everywhere else on social media as well, but we post different content across all of them. So wherever you are, you'll find something different from us. If you are on social media and you are on Instagram, go and follow Reviews from the Crypt. That is Mark's review page, where he talks all about horror movies that you probably haven't seen. He does occasionally drop a classic in there, but normally it's like zombie cheerleaders attacked by zombie werewolf vampire 17.
I need to get back to writing again, to be honest with you. I haven't wrote anything since Christmas, I don't think. Maybe I've dropped the occasional one in between, but I've just had a kid. So like usually my writing time, my wife works nights. She's a fitness instructor, so she usually like twice a week goes out. So for work, one of the nights I do show prep, and the other night is when I usually tend to do sort of writing and stuff. But she's still on maternity leave, so she's here every night at the moment. So me just taking myself off and writing and stuff doesn't really seem to be at the forefront of my to-do lists. I'm making the most of her being at home all the time and things at the moment, so I just don't have a lot of time to write. But I do watch movies, and I do still take notes, and I do have a back catalogue of about 50 movies that I've got notes for that I need to put into written review format and get out there. So when I do come back, I will be back with a bang. So stay tuned. It will be back, I promise.
Yeah, and if you like Mark and you want to view content that he does put up every single day without fail, it's at VHS from the Crypt, where he shares photographs of old shit that nobody has anymore and everybody wants. But for some reason, Mark has more than most.
I was talking to Jim. This episode will come out a couple of weeks after the time that this has actually occurred. A guy was posting up a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers entire collection of VHS tapes, and I'm like, I am extremely tempted by that. So I may do it. I may dip my toe into the Mighty Morphin, because I'm a big Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan. I grew up it as a kid. I love it. I still kind of occasionally watch it now. But to have the entire collection on VHS, and the cool thing about it as well is each individual one makes up a big picture along the spine. I was like, oh, that's going to look fucking awesome on a shelf. And it's like, and I didn't know this, right? The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is 3 seasons long. Each season has 60 episodes per season. Or at least the first two do. I think the third season has about 30 episodes. I'm like, that's fucking insane. Because when I saw the post, I was like, that's a lot of tapes. I don't know if I have a shelf big enough to house those. Why is there so many tapes? And then it turns out, yeah, there's a lot of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episodes. So I might dip my toe in and I might go and get those. I don't know yet. I don't know if I want to. But the logic behind it is when Farron, my youngest, who's just been born, he's a boy. So when he gets a bit bigger, that's going to be our jam. I'm going to be like, right, you ready for this? Most people are like, all right, it's time to do Pokemon or wrestling. I'm like, no, this is the real shit right here. This is going to morph you into a man. So to have those on video to be able to show him is something that's what's driving me behind this investment at the moment. So I may pick them up. So stay tuned for that.
Just be careful when you introduce your children to things, because like I introduced Jack to, well, between me and the older boys, Jack got introduced into wrestling. Now he's wrestling obsessed and he quotes wrestling. He goes around doing like the wrestling like signs and all that sort of stuff during the day. If you do that and you introduce him to Power Rangers, every time you turn around, he's going to go, "It's morphin' time!" And like,
but the thing is about it though, the thing about it is, it will be the perfect excuse for me to just buy up a load of 90s Mighty Morphin Power Rangers shit. And I can explain it and justify it to my wife. So I'm like, oh yeah, why have you got that morphin belt? I'm like, I bought it for Farron. Don't worry. But then as soon as he gets bigger and done with that shit, I'll have like a full Mighty Morphin Power Rangers display in this office. I'll have all the action figures. I'll have the belts. I'll have about a shitload of masks and fucking costumes hung up in here. It'll be awesome.
Oh, okay. Just what you need, another thing to be addicted to. Like you're
I
addicted
know,
to
I know.
horror
And that's
movies,
why the hesitation is there.
Yeah. You can also get in touch by sending us an email where yourunpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us an audio message which will play on the air. You can do that through Instagram or X just by recording an audio DM, or record a video on TikTok, tag us in it, and we'll drop that into the show as well. If you want to support us, easy ways to do it. Share this episode with a friend. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. Go and like one of our videos on YouTube or share that video. Like, those are the things you can do for free. If you want to support us in a monetary way, you can do that by going to yourunpodcast.com and clicking on the shop icon, where we have 12 brand new t-shirts in our shop that are all things that I think you're going to want to wear. They're not just logo tees anymore. They are design t-shirts that have logos and catchphrases that you will know and you will want. And also, every single t-shirt is massively reduced from what they've been in the past. They're all $18.
Oh, a bargain.
Absolute deal. And all of that money goes back into the show and helps us cover the costs of what it costs to run this show. So it costs, just so everyone knows, just so everyone gets an understanding, it costs me around about £100 a month to keep the show on the air, with subscriptions to where we record, running of the website, and all the other bits that go along with it. And I'm not out to make money from you. I just want to recoup some of the money I'm spending. If we can, that'd be great.
It probably cost me that in beer as well. So if I could get some of that money back, that would be great.
I didn't include beer. It probably costs us £300 a month just to run this show. Let's do some facts. So early in the film, the policeman, his truck's license plate is Matt 725. This is a reference to a Bible quote, which is Matthew 725, and the quote reads, "The rain came down and the streams rose, the winds blew and beat against the house. Yes, it did not fall. Yes, it did not fall because it has foundations on rock." And I was like, that's kind of cool. Like that little thing in there. I liked that.
Yeah, it's nice when you include fairy tales in your story, isn't it?
So the actress who plays the lead role is Kayla Scalerio. I can never Scolderio.
No, I can never get that right either.
It was her who insisted that her character would be barefoot. So originally she was in trainers, and she argued on set going, "No, it's summer. I've just come from swimming. I'm telling you now, as a woman, I would not be wearing trainers. I'd be wearing flip-flops. And when I tread in mud or shit, I will take those flip-flops off because I'd rather get my feet dirty and clean them than have to clean my flip-flops." And she won.
Yeah, cool choice.
Yeah, really cool choice. This is one of the most favorite movies from 2019 for Quentin Tarantino. He put this in his top 5 movies of 2019. This is also the second creature feature for Alexandre Aja. He also directed Piranha 3D, which, funnily enough, this knocked out in the polls.
That's cool.
So you know the set where like all the water's rising and you've got the dog and the dog like goes along as the water's coming in and the dog swims a little bit. They had to do so much work to make that happen. So they built this entire set of that kitchen and hallway is built inside a giant water tank. And then each day they'd raise the water level a little and train the dog to do the same, rewarding it with sausages when it done it before they flooded it fully. So that dog was actually in the flood water and had been trained how to act in that scenario, which is so
That's
cool.
quite cool. Dogs are great, aren't they?
They really are. The burglars who robbed the gas station are named Marvin, Stan, and Lee, which is a nod to Marvel creator Stan Lee and coincidentally Sam Raimi, who produced this movie and also directed 3 Spider-Man films. Did you notice the shark in her car? The shark eating a person? On
The bobblehead, yes.
Yeah, it's a Jaws bobblehead, which, again, great. What wasn't a Big Blue Sea bobblehead, was it?
Well, no, because it'd be cool as fuck, and I'd have remembered it a bit more if it was.
Sam Raimi's producing influences all over this, having many similarities between this and The Evil Dead. The tree breaking through the window is a Sam Raimi addition. The fights with monsters in the basement, that's a Sam Raimi thing that he'd done in Evil Dead. The flooding, stopping the protagonist escaping, is also something they've done in The Evil Dead, as is losing an arm. So it's the Evil
Dead. It'd been so cool if, like, the car that actually wiped the gator out at the end was Bruce Campbell's car.
That would have been awesome. That would have been really awesome.
Is it a Camaro? Is that a Camaro? That thing?
Yeah, I want to say it is, but I could be wrong. But it's in like every Sam Raimi movie. It's there.
Yeah,
like even in Spider-Man, it's Uncle Ben's car.
Yeah. It's in all 3, isn't it? In various different locations.
Yeah, awesome. And it's in Drag Me to Hell. It's the old lady's car.
Yeah.
We've no voicemails or comments this week. We do, but we're kind of recording a little bit in advance, so I'm not going to drop them on this episode. As I said, you can get voicemails and stuff in, how I told you earlier. We done a feature this week for cover notes, which we haven't done for a while, which is where you change the cover note they put on the poster, which these are all bad when we do this. Like, they were here first. No, they fucking weren't. They're nesting in the basement of his house.
And again, I think that's like a nod to the fact that they're dinosaurs. So it's not the worst one we've had on the show, but it doesn't really apply to this movie. Like, if there was a conversation between characters where they're like, yes, they're apex predators, they've lived here a lot longer than we have, you know, this is their land before ours. There's none of that. So the tagline doesn't really apply.
No, it really doesn't. But it's okay because you lot done better. Movies for Days, which is Newman over at Movies for Days. See you later, alligator. Quite like that one. Randomly, Eric, Mark's arch nemesis, coming hard this week. My mama says alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush.
Amazing.
This Girl Loves Horror's gone with A Storm with a Big Bite, which again works.
Nice.
Leprechaun 82, which is Imitation Dave, went with Swamp Puppies Want to Play. And Bloody Babble went Snapper is out of the crapper because it comes through the poop drain. Yeah, really good. Yeah. I've actually got one this week as well. Florida, come for the sunshine and stay because you're trapped in a crawl space with apex predators that want to eat you.
Nah, I think that's a bit too wordy, mate.
Is it? Oh, well, I liked it. Anyway, Florida Man. We all know Floridians are wild as fuck. And there are so many headlines that start, Florida Man did, or Florida Man was. So I went looking online and I found a selection of these. And I'm not going to ask you to pick which ones are real. They're all real. I just want to get your natural response to each of these headlines. Because honestly, they blew my fucking mind. So, Florida man arrested in local park after performing karate on swans.
Do you get swans in Florida?
I'm assuming you do, because these are genuine headlines. A Florida man was arrested for it. for kung fu
Holy
or
shit.
karate kicking swans.
How much? What is the drug situation in Florida?
Meth. Crystal
Oh,
meth.
right. Okay, that explains a lot.
Yeah, it really does. Fl- Florida man stabs tourist despite having no arms.
How? How is that even possible?
The knife was in his mouth when he stabbed the person.
So it was like he used his head as a musket, basically.
Florida man denies drink driving, insisting he was only swigging his bourbon at stop signs.
I mean, if the logic applies, the logic applies.
Exactly that. Florida man breaks into jail to spend the afternoon with his friends.
Imagine that as a season of Prison Break.
Honestly, like the full article of that, like he scaled the wall, he got past guards, and like he done it all to get into like the general recreation area where he spent the afternoon sat on a picnic bench with his mates.
Did he escape afterwards, or
No, he was caught afterwards and then sentenced to 3 months in prison, and he got sent to a different prison, which I thought was hilarious.
oh, that's tight though. That as well from the judge, especially
Really
considering his crime. That's out of order. That.
Yeah, you wanted to spend time with your friends. Well, I'm going to send you to another prison, so you can't. We got 2 more of these. Florida man gets tired of waiting for waiting at hospital, steals ambulance, and drives home.
Just to use it as like an Uber.
Basically, and my favorite, and like I had to check it was true, and it really is. This really happened. Florida man charged with assault with a deadly weapon after throwing an alligator through a Wendy's drive-through window.
Why?
He's gone. Long and short of it is he wasn't happy with the service he received at Wendy's on his previous visit. So when he went back, he got to the serving hatch and threw an alligator through the window.
That is wild. Like the idea to be like that pissed off about Wendy's and be like, right, those bastards, next time I go there, they're going to get it. And then to turn up with an alligator.
It is mind-bending. Now I went down a real rabbit hole of Florida Man does, and I found a Florida Man generator where you can provide it with information like name and things you like, and it will generate your own Florida Man headline. For anyone who's interested in doing it themselves, it's vondi.com/Florida story generator. So I done one for me and I done one for you.
You find
Florida
some
Man's-
weird shit on the internet, man.
Yeah, I do. Florida man Scott suffers second-degree burns after setting his testicles on fire for Instagram views.
Now that I can believe.
Honestly, it's not out of the realms of possibility. Like, if I thought it would help, I probably would. Florida man Mark has sex with his boss's van in retaliation for being fired after being found out for running a VHS smuggling operation from site.
I just need to know what you've had to put in to get that story generated.
I put in that you had a van, you liked VHS, and your name was Mark, and you put the rest together itself.
Oh my god.
That's enough, Florida man. Go on, you round this one up. You take this one away.
I mean, there ain't a lot to say really, other than what I've already said on the episode. I mean, this is just popcorn fun. I think the cast are ample. You know, there's nothing really that I could criticize any of them for. CGI, I think, is again ample. There's nothing great about it, but there's also not elements of it that I could really pull apart and say was terrible. Practical effects wise, there isn't any. Majority of it is done CGI, barring a few of the war wounds that the 2 lead characters receive. There's a lot of stuff here that's hard to digest. And I think if you haven't seen this movie and you are going into it, go into it with that mindset that this is just entertainment purposes. Because what I did on my first watch was going into it based on my appreciation for the director, Alexander Ajar.
Yeah,
is his name.
Yeah.
Now, he has an awesome back catalogue of movies that I really appreciate. I mean, he did High Tension, which was one of my favorite movies from back in the day. One of the best twist endings I've probably ever seen. First time watch. I thought that was fucking amazing. He did the Hills of Eyes remake, did Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland, which was fantastic.
Yep.
Horns, which was a good one with Daniel Radcliffe that not many people have seen. You've mentioned that he did Piranha 3D as well. So he has a really, really cool sort of set of unique movies under his belt. So when I first saw the advertisement for Crawl, I was like, oh, this is going to be fucking epic. This is going to be something really unique and really terrifying. The same way that we kind of he came out in an era where his name meant something, similar to what you get with the guy from Hereditary and things like that, even though he's kind of fallen off the wagon now and isn't really doing horror movies anymore. When he was he's Alexander Ajar, when his name was attached to something back in the late 2000s and teens, you're like, oh shit, this is going to be something really fucking cool. And I was underwhelmed by it the first watch. I didn't think it quite lived up to his namesake. And I was like, you know, anybody could have kind of directed this. And that's really disappointing for me. But on a rewatch, knowing what I knew off the first watch, where I was like, just enjoy it for what it is. It's popcorn fun. It's a creature feature movie. It's not here to make a statement. I fucking loved it, man. I really enjoyed my time with it the second time around. You know, like I said, there's a lot of things where you do question the believability of it and the plausibility of most of the situations. But if you can put that to a side, I think this is definitely sort of like that early Jurassic Park, Deep Blue Sea, Lake Placid kind of level of enjoyment of creature features, Anaconda style stuff. And if you go in with that mindset, you are guaranteed to have a great time with Crawl. If you're expecting more from it, this isn't going to be the movie for you. So for me, on a first watch, I think I gave this like a 3 stars. On a rewatch, it's getting a 4 out of 5 for me. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie all around, and I didn't begrudge having to do a rewatch on it at all.
That's good score. And to be honest, not too dissimilar to mine. This is kind of right up my alley. It's stupid, mindless, like just feeding unimportant side characters to alligators for my enjoyment while keeping the main cast intact. Like I'm kind of on board for that. Yes, it's stupid. Yes, they would not have survived this. These alligators are like velociraptor level aggressive, and it's kind of exactly what I expected to get. The casting wasn't overly great. It wasn't particularly bad. Huge amounts of CGI, which are pretty well done. Some of them not so much. It's a fun 90 minutes that, like I don't regret my time with it. And you get to see like loads of cool alligators eat people. I'll watch it again without any question. Like it's not, as you say, it's not a Deep Blue Sea. It's not a Jaws. It's not a Lake Placid, but it's fun. And it's a 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Solid.
Yeah, so this stupidly Crawl is going to be way up our charts. Like our charts come out.
I think it was a great movie to open up Creature Feature Month as well. I'm expecting some dog shit along the way over the next couple of weeks, but I think in terms of what this movie represents as a homage to that sort of early to late 90s creature feature movies, this was the right film to go for the first episode of this month.
Yeah, great pick by the listeners. And I'll be honest, the listeners have not been particularly consistent with their picks recently. However, next week, they have been very consistent as they have picked an iconic creature feature, probably one of the most iconic, as we're going to look at An American Werewolf in London. So you all need to go and watch that before we're back next week. But until then, be good. And if in any doubt whatsoever, what would Florida Man do?
See you
See you next week. Bye.
You want to die tonight?
Jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts for a movie review. Unveiling gangs too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. Thank you for taking us on this chilling ride, when nightmares roll free and comedy collide. With your podcast we laugh and cringe, but your content is so good we can't help but binge. You want podcast? You want podcast?
Boom, 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 boom.